Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, as the four-day tour occurs inside the Capitol on January 6th, where a loaded, biased committee attempts to parse the words of the President on the day, we have many other crises to deal with in this country that are directly affecting and harming the American people, their ability to do their basic day-to-day operation in their homes, get to their jobs, get their kids to school. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Chasing January 6th. Look at our border right now. We're under the current Biden policies, we're attracting the largest caravan ever of illegal aliens heading towards our border. The idea that we're going to get rid of Title 42 or just the general porosity of the border anyway. It's been a giant magnet ever since January 20, 2021, when this president came in and started shredding our border policy. We had success under President Trump, where we had the best control of the border we had in quite a while, with additional approximately 450 miles of rebuilt or new fence that was very effective in those zones. So what do we have now? We have warehouses and stacks and pallets of fence material, millions of dollars worth of it, lying about on our southern border being stored instead of installed. So now we heard some chatter here a couple of months ago from the Biden administration, like, well, maybe we should just go ahead and put up those additional pieces there where there's some obvious gaps. Had a chance to visit Yuma, Arizona a few weeks ago. It was pretty incredible because the people, there'd be miles of fence, but there'd be these gaps occasionally, and that's where they would pour through illegally. Amazing. And we could rectify that by just filling a lot of the gaps, thereby making our Customs and Border Patrol job much easier by being able to focus on less areas instead of wide open spaces or gaps all along our border. But no, it seems to be about some other agenda. 15,000 people, possibly, will crowd the border here soon under the idea that we're going to possibly let Title 42 go. Thankfully, two different courts have stopped that. So what are we doing? The terrorists that come across our border, really almost unchecked. I mean, they capture a handful of them, but how many are getting by that get away? We don't know that. Are they starting cells right here in our country? Why not? So as we know, in April, there was over 230,000 encounters, they call them, at the southern border. So that's the highest in U.S. history for 1 month. Why is this? Because we have a giant magnet, again, turned on by this administration saying, come on across. You only need to have a sliver of a excuse for asylum. The asylum law needs to be changed if that's how they're going to enforce it, because it has to be for a true threat. And you also have to seek asylum in the country closest to you if you're an asylum seeker, and that's what you're really after. The one closest to you, not pick and choose what country you're going to move up to, basically the United States with all the benefits it hands out. So according to polling on that, when you ask American people who are worried about gas and groceries or whether another load of formula is going to come in from Europe on a military transport in time for their small children to be able to have the type of food that they were accustomed to, the majority of Americans disapprove of the Biden administration operation of our borders, especially the elimination of Title 42, which is a health risk issue. So we're putting really, with the issue when you talk about formula, we're putting Americans last. When the Biden administration prioritized shipments of pallets of baby formula to the border holding stations instead of across the fruited plain, it's pretty pathetic. Indeed, it was this administration whose FDA stepped in on the major producer of formula and said, we're going to shut you down because we had a couple incidents that have been reported. So what happens? FDA doesn't call back the major producer of formula, the company, say, what is it, when they ask, what is it we need to do to be in compliance in your eyes? The administration knew about this, yet they prioritized what formula is available to go down to the border stations there. Thankfully, recently we passed legislation so that we could release more supplies to have them be eligible for those that are on assistance. So as we see the disaster on the border, I don't see a single remedy even being talked about by the Biden administration. They don't really care about the American people. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.